I'm hoping you're going to hear from me this week.
Okay. That's a good start.
I can't help it.
I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the North Huntington Township Board of Commissioners for Wednesday, August 16, 2017 at 7 p.m. Roll call, Mr. Curley.
Commissioner Harrell. Here. Commissioner Haggis. Here. Commissioner Bertani. Here. Commissioner Gray. Here. Commissioner Facenda. Here. Commissioner Casera. Here. Commissioner Martino.
Here. Everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for opening prayer by Pastor Ray Lyons from Circleville United Church of Christ. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Grace and peace to everyone. Let us pray. Lord, we're thankful for North Huntington, and we just pray for all the people who help all of our policemen. Bless them, and bless our firemen, and bless all the people who plan to make it better. And we're thankful for all the people who work hard to make the school good too, as well as all the roads. We're thankful, Lord, for all the good things they do, and bless them in this meeting, and bless us through the fall season, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Next item is citizen input. If anybody wants to speak tonight, please sign the book at the podium. Remember, the meeting is being electronically recorded and video streamed. First citizen is Mr. Schuster.
58 Hills Drive, North Huntington. Clock starting now.
Yes.
Item 6 on the agenda, under Township Manager Report, it says Doherty. That is a typo or an error. It should say Weber subdivision, not Doherty. Can I take 30 seconds?
Yes. I was keeping track. Next citizen is Mr. Ken Gray. State your name and address for the record.
Complaint. I've talked to Mike and the zoning officer, but the weeds on Brownstown Road, on the other side of the road down there, it's out of control. There's rats running from it, and I got told because there's no house on it that they do not have to keep it cut under the zoning ordinance by a couple different people. If that's the case, the zoning things need to change, because you own a piece of property, you should take care of it. I mean, if not, I'll just go buy a piece of property and let it overgrown like crazy in this township and make it look like crap. I mean, you just keep saying, oh, you want the township look good, that looks like crap down there. And we got rats running. It needs cut.
Thank you. Our third citizen for the evening is Mr. Skip Cook. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Skip Cook, and the address is 890 Rose Street for Fairmont Downtown Fire Department. I'm speaking on behalf of I'm the coordinating chief for the township chiefs, and under the township manager report, I'm just here to substantiate the need for the markers, blue reflector markers for the hydrants in the township. We're all in complete support of it, and if there's any questions we could help or provide to it, you know, we'd like to discuss with you guys.
That's it for citizens input for this evening. Anybody have a comment about Mr. Schuster? Okay, how about Mr. Gray? Anything on that? Is there anything on that property that?
We have never required undeveloped property to be maintained as a lawn. If you'd like to make that part of the zoning ordinance, we have thousands of acres that we can go after. Once it is maintained as a lawn, we require that it continues to be maintained as a lawn. Those two properties are for sale, although I noticed today the for sale signs are gone. They were Florida 4 lots that George Klippa developed. They have not been cut as long as I can remember. I'm not sure what argument we would use to get them to be cut, but that's your pleasure.
So Andy, let me ask you this. I just saw a complaint come through up on Halfmoon Drive for the developer up there for undeveloped lots up there and maintaining those. And I could have swore that the work order and the resolution that they were still responsible for maintaining those lots, even though they're not developed yet. The developer is that true?
It's not for cutting the grass, but maintaining them, sure.
So, okay, so I guess what's the definition of maintaining? So does that mean maintain? You can leave the weeds grow to, you got a wheat field ground there?
If a lawn has never been cultivated, that has been our position.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else?
Andy, could we get a hold of the property owner and ask him if we could possibly cut it?
We can find out who's handling the estate, sure.
All right. I think, that's something positive anyways.
Pardon?
I said that's something positive anyway, at least, we give it an effort anyways.
Well, I think if you got a rodent issue, you got to do something. You just can't let it continue the way it's going. It's just going to compound.
Safety and health.
I mean, eventually it's gonna get out of hand. So I don't know where the property is. Where exactly, if you got a rodent issue, it needs to be addressed. You can't just let it go.
I'm not sure cutting the grass will solve that. It may take more than cutting the grass to deal with the rodents, but we'll work on that aspect of it.
That's what they need against it.
Okay, Andy, you gonna look at that? Thank you.
I'll look at that.
Thank you, sir. Next gentleman to talk was Mr. Skip Cook on, had to do with the fire hydrant markers. Do we want to discuss it now, or do we want to wait until it comes up in the discussion? Wait. Okay. That's it for citizens input and response. Approval of minutes of the special meeting on 7/13/17.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. Approval of minutes of the regular meeting on 7/19/17.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. Payment of bills.
Make a motion, we pay voucher number 74629 through voucher number 74719.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. Staff reports. Public Works reports, Mr. Elder. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Elder?
Rich, I know it's only August, and how's our salt? I mean, we're in good shape.
We're in good shape. We have a considerable amount left from last year. We met our quota under the state contract, and we'll be in good shape going into the upcoming winter season.
Thank you.
Rich, you have anything to report?
Nothing else to add.
Thank you. Okay. Parks and Recreation report, Dan Miller, he's on vacation. Anybody have anything for Mr. Miller? Okay. Police report, emergency management report, anybody have anything for Gene? How about the police report, anybody have anything for Mr. Ken?
Ron, I have a question. Our Explorers we have, are we having any problems like they are nationwide with the exhaust and fumes, anything? I mean,
On one of the cars, we had an issue that they couldn't trace back to the exhaust. But since then, they've done some work on it, we have no issues. None of the other cars we've had any complaints or anything with fumes or anything.
yeah, 'cause that's pretty serious.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, I know me and you talked a few months ago about that same issue.
right.
And as long as it seems to be what caused it, if you put the air conditioner on circulation, that's what seems to be causing
They
it.
said it's a cracked manifold.
Yeah,
Fumes
fumes are coming in a cat.
And I read another report where some of the subcontractors who were putting equipment on the vehicles were drilling holes in wrong places and were letting fumes come back into the cars. I know the one in California, that's what they ended up tracing it to. So,
Thank you.
Rod, do you have anything for Commissioners?
just one thing, our officers made an arrest the other night in reference to the car shopping. We call car shopping, the people pull in, go through your car and take stuff. We did make an arrest on that, and they did a good job on following through with it. Actually went to the newsstand at a motel and arrested the individual with a warrant.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Did you find that that individual had anything to do with any other
No,
shopping incidents around here?
he just came into the area from out of state. It was more, he got himself intoxicated and went out and did something stupid. So, and he was pulling right up in front of the people's house with his car with an out-of-state license plate on it. It wasn't hard to figure out who it was real fast. So,
I think we need to give people a heads up too about school starting next month.
yes, we're gonna start probably tomorrow. We'll put an extra watch, slow down. School starts on Monday. We got the traffic the signals at all the schools that'll be turned on for Monday. We did that today. We notified traffic systems. And I actually went out with the school district today on a couple of the bus runs. They wanted to check conditions of roads, like Baker School, we're getting some complaints about the condition of the road. It's not safe for a big bus.
About later.
We didn't get any complaints about Lager, but I mean, it would probably be in the same boat. And then about a stopover, new plan over Tecumseh plan over on Barnes Lake Road. They were going to stop the bus right out on Barnes Lake Road, and we were able to move it and put it in the plan so the bus could turn around in there. So that's good.
There's also concern about the construction on Morris. Is that going to be done to allow bus traffic up there?
You mean the water line
Yeah,
replacement?
yeah.
I mean, they weren't there at all today. I was up through there twice today. Yeah, were they?
Yeah.
Okay, I must have missed them then. They must have been
They
out.
all close up a couple of streets up from where you come around the bend.
Okay, yeah, I know they're trying to connect the crosswalk water lines together. So, I mean, I would hope that, we just found out today that Baker School Road, starting September the 1st, they're gonna do almost like a complete reconstruction of it. They're gonna do all new drain and just in time for school. So,
You're supposed to pay more south too.
Yes.
Right.
yeah.
Anything else, Russ?
No, that's it.
Thank you very much, sir. Planning and engineering report, fire official report. You get care of that? Subdivision and land development application report, Mr. Blankenham.
There are two resolutions for your consideration tonight. The first concerns the site plan and subdivision at Harrison Auto Sales on Route 30.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0.
Second resolution concerns site plan 6 of 2017, the MC Quality Car Storage Building site plan, also on Route 30.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0.
That is it, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Blankenham. Solicitor's report, Mr. Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, there are no action items on the solicitor's report for the month of August.
Thank you, sir. Next item is Township Manager report, Mr. Turner.
First item is an action to approve the July check register.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0.
Second item is an invoice that came in and didn't make the check register, and we wanted to pay it. It's an action to approve the invoice for Westmoreland Construction Group in the amount of $37,560.70, and this is for work related to the Lilac Street retaining wall.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0.
Item 3 is the July 2017 budget report. Item 4 is an action to approve Brookhaven Phase 4 for sewage planning.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0.
Item 5 is action to approve the demolition of 3 residential properties to Luderman Excavating LLC in the amount of $24,800.
Motion to approve. Second.
Discussion.
When will this occur? When, how fast will they move?
To some extent, dependent on their schedule.
But approving them tonight will then let them flow forward without stopping.
Correct.
What's the status of the Mercer Drive?
I've not heard anything.
Andy, for the people out here, could you tell them which properties that's going to be?
There's one on Mercer, there's one Dave in New Ward,
Mifflin Drive.
Mifflin Drive.
And there's another one over in Chapel.
Tyler Street.
Yeah, I don't have that right in front of me, I can get it down there.
Have we exhausted all resources to try and remedy these besides demolishing them?
The one on, well,
All of
yeah, we're out of gas on all of them. The only one that we still had a hope for was the one on Mercer. There have been discussions, I guess, with potential buyers, but I don't know that anything's happened yet. You recall we had a discussion last month, and Solicitor Dice said, she's here, she's on notice, she's doing what you're doing, move forward. If she's got something to add to the mix, she can do so.
Yeah, I've been past there a few times, I haven't seen any activity at all. No dumpsters, nothing.
I hate to see an empty lot in the middle of the neighborhood. I hate to see a house torn down that could be on the tax roll, but I don't know how many lines in the sand we should draw.
Anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 6-1.
Item 6 is an action to approve the request by RWS for an exemption for sidewalks in Phase 4 in Brookhaven and the Weber subdivisions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0.
Item 7 is an action to award the bid to Russell Standard Corporation for road maintenance construction joint crack sealing in the amount of $23,750.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0.
Item 8 is discussion and potential action to award the bid for the fire hydrant markers to Green Acres Contracting under one of the following scenarios as determined in the best interest of the township. So this is the price we got for the 538 markers we wanted to install at $93,074. It appears that the budget had set $40,000 for this work. I'm sure it was difficult to try to estimate, but nonetheless, it's well over what was budgeted. So there's an option for the board to consider discussing with the contractor that they could do there's an option to do 250 of these markers for $43,250, essentially maintaining the unit price. And if the board chose, could come back next year and do the remaining. So I think there's two options, and of course there's take no action option too. So it's for discussion and potential action.
This is one of the items that Mr. Cook talked about. Everyone. Anybody have any questions on it, concerns, questions for Skip?
Rich, so last year, did you not, you got a bid from somebody last year?
It was the same outfit. I believe the funding that John put aside for this project was out of the
Water fund.
Yeah.
It was. So it was from the same outfit, because I seem to remember what they gave you last year was significant. It was about half of what unless it wasn't for all 500 markers.
I don't believe it was for all the markers. I gave them the information that on the hydrant locations, at least I thought I had the right amount, but it was certainly higher than what was proposed last year. And it's basically a phone quote. And, they said that they'd have to come out. If there was a more thorough investigation whenever we were going to put it out for bid and so forth. And, that's what they did this year.
So they actually came out, looked at the area, and surveyed the area?
I believe that's what Bob handled it. Mike, is that correct? And that's what they did. They came out and reviewed everything, and he gave them pretty much the amount of hydrants and so forth, and went over everything that we're requiring from us.
Yes, there was a bid pack. I believe they were the only bidder, if I remember.
They're the only game in town.
I don't know how you, I'm not sure how you estimate what this should be. You would hope you would get more bids, but yeah, I mean, they have to mill a piece of the road, epoxy. I mean, there's some work involved. There's traffic control, and then I'm sure there's quite a bit involved with all the number of markers we're talking. We're throwing a high number of units, so. But I think there was a budget amount, and this was substantially over it. So there's an option. I think if you're not comfortable with it, if you're not comfortable with the price, then we'll have to go back and relook at it all. If you want to stay with the budget, then you do half, and we do half next year. If you want to just get it done, then you award it. We'll find the money to do the 93,000. It's just it's more than double the budget.
So my next question is there anybody else we can get to look at this, to do this? I mean, obviously, I don't know, does the state install their own? I mean, it's basically the same thing with the state was as far as the road. Does the state do that, or they contract that out?
State contracted out to Green Acre, usually gets it. They're the only ones around it.
They're the only ones around, so
I know.
looking at options.
Initially, I got the information for you, Daryl, and then whenever we decided to put out the package on John DeBerg, Paul Robinson, put the bid specifications and so forth. I don't recall what the actual amount was.
Yeah, well, I know it wasn't 93,000.
No, it wasn't 93,000, and I thought it was based on the amount of hydrants that there were. The more, the less money it would be.
Yeah, we only talked about doing township roads because we don't want to mess with state roads and got delve into county roads.
I'll make a motion, we do 250 markers this year, stay within the budget, and let that up to the fire chiefs, what, how they want to look it out for this year, and next year we'll finish it off, which will help everybody out.
And I got a little bit of a question as far as if we would do 250. I would feel that it would be good to go to the fire chiefs and ask them which hydrants in their area are tougher to find, tougher to see. Because I know a lot of times they're hidden by grass or set off the road in almost a wooded area like down here in Brownstown and that. Some of them like down in Edgewood, not there, I mean, they're there, you can see. Would that be something that would be?
Yeah, that's something we could easily address that. We can address different options to it.
Hey, Skip, would you go up to the microphone, please? Thank you.
Yeah, we discussed the different options that were available and what we'd be able to do to just make it safer, quicker, and easier to find the hydrants. And everybody knows the problem hydrants like we discussed before. That's at our next chiefs meeting, we meet monthly. We could bring it up and we could designate, break it down to the different departments and designate, pick your top 70 or up to be 60. I would mark those first. So that's an option.
Up to you guys.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, the 250 markers, it costs us $43,250. It's still a few thousand over budget. So David mentioned within budget, but it's still a little, so it's it would be, you might want to, I don't know if you want to change the Craig, he modified the motion to say the amount, 250 markers and 43,250.
I'll amend my motion that we do 250 markers at $43,250, which is slightly over budget amount.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0.
Item 9 is an item that we've been working on this year. It's another one of the items that have come out of our strategic planning. It's an emphasis that the board was very interested in. Take a look at our parks and recreational programming and planning. We've been working on it throughout the summer and we'll be working through the fall. At this point, I wanted to introduce Jason Livingston with Environmental Planning and Design And he has a slideshow and would like to give you an update and have some discussion on where we're at with this. This normally would probably be a work session item for us, but we had such a full work session last week, we just decided to put it on a regular meeting. So with that, Jason.
You got it. I'm gonna try and pull this thing up here. It's a USB.
Just do my computer, it should show up. It usually takes a minute.
There we go. Okay, well, while that thing's loading up, I want to thank the board for having us tonight. My name is Jason Livingston, Senior Associate with Environmental Planning and Design. I've been working with AJ Schwartz. He's the Senior Manager, Managing Principal of EPD. We are landscape architects, urban planners, and designers. And it's been really great. We've been working very closely with Mike and Dan on the project. Too bad Dan's not here, but he must be having a better time. That's okay. So what you're going to see tonight is a bit of an abridged version of what we're going to show next week. Next week is the bigger public meeting. But really what this is meant to do, we're going to go through this fairly quickly. I'd like to get input from you guys and the public as well. Are we allowed to have input from the public tonight if they would they sign in?
Well, I think if we did that, we would wait till after your presentation.
You got it.
Maybe we have a little open-ended workshop afterwards.
Sure.
If you want to
Sure.
run after the meeting, maybe that, or whatever you prefer.
You got it. And you'll see at the very end of the presentation, there is a slide that says questions and answers. But I think I'd rather have it a little bit more interactive. If we're on a slide and you have a question, interrupt me, okay? Okay, so the purpose, in 2002, our office did a Parks, Recs, and Open Space Plan. So it's been 15 years now. It's time to update that plan. So what we're going to do, what's really small? We're going to take a look at the current demographics, recreational trends, governmental changes that have occurred since then. Within this scope of work, we've done an online survey that we'll get into. We're going to do an inventory analysis of all the parks. We're going to give you an overview and what we've seen in those parks. And then at the end of that update, a list of recommendations. The online survey was open for roughly a month and fairly nice turnout, 434 responses out of roughly 30,000 residents, correct me if I'm wrong. That's about 15%. 15% is a pretty good number in our eyes. If you get 8%, a lot of times that's a success. So you've almost doubled that. So we have the survey on SurveyMonkey, this website that hosts all these surveys, as well as hard copies. Hard copies were distributed and then collected here and at the library, I believe. There were essentially 12 questions. The 12th question was an open-ended, just give us additional comments. So essentially there was 11 questions that we posed to the public. I'm not going to go through all 11. A good one here is how long you lived in the township. And what this shows, once again the numbers and just look at the colors, fairly evenly distributed. There's a really nice cross-section of population shown here. Really about 3/4, the green on the right, the gray on the bottom right, and that orange represents folks that have been here 0 to 30 years. So it's a pretty nice little cross-section. The next question relates to the programs that are offered here in the township, and we asked the public to tell us if they participated in that program, If they did not participate but were interested in it, or did not participate or not interested at all. And really what that's going to help Dan figure out what programs are obviously successful in the event of like the ballroom dancing. It was really low on the totem pole. People really weren't interested and did not participate. So what that tells us, that might be a program that could potentially be eliminated, or if there's a certain sector that would want to do that, direct some advertising or get those folks more involved in something like that. So that, just a quick example of that. Most interested were movies in the park. A lot of stuff that were free and seems like it's held in a bigger park. And of course that's going to mean more people are going to come. We won't go through too much of that. Okay, questions 6 and 7. Essentially it's one question, but the way SurveyMonkey is structured, you can only have a certain amount of entries. So since you have 11 parks, I think we were only able to do 9, so we just split it into 2 questions. So this is essentially one question. And it's really to get people to tell us quickly what they think of some of the items within the park. The very first one up there, what's almost like the eye doctor, and doing the 2, 3. The first one is I was able to easily locate this park. Another thing you can't see up there, we shaded all of the rankings that were 5 and above. So one would be, the best 10, not so good. Folks were really easy. We're able to find the parks very easily. If you can see on that very top line, it's all 1s and 2s. So that's really great. The one with the 10s and the 9s, the people use the park as a part of their exercise or fitness routine. What that's telling us is that people prefer to come to your parks in more of a passive manner. They're not coming out to do CrossFit and become a tough mudder. And that's fine. And that helps us then give you folks recommendations about how to improve the parks in the system. An interesting one, and I'm not so sure we agree with this one, and that's okay. The restrooms are not perceived as well maintained. I don't know if maybe we've seen enough other parks to say, the restroom, and believe me, restrooms and parking are number 1 issues in parks, across the country. So we feel your restrooms are pretty good, and surprisingly, parking was never an issue in anything we've heard throughout any of the parks. So some really good news. Common recreation activities and facilities that are in the community, and then the level of interest. Found out quite a bit. This was a pretty big number. Folks want more paved trails. That was surprising to us. We feel that right now you've got some nice trail systems. I'll go into a little bit of inventory and analysis of your parks. But that's great. I think it's also a recreational trend just across the country. People are gravitating towards trails, both paved, unpaved. So it's nice to see that you folks are right in line with that. Least preferred, an interesting one there was the bird life, wildlife watching area. So we kind of thought that might have been a little higher given the Braddock's Trail and Indian Lake Park. Seems like it's just natural and people want to do more of that. But these are all things that we're going to be talking about throughout the report. Okay, so had those 11 questions. Number 12 was the open-ended question. What we did, we went through all of the, take a quick look. There were a lot of comments. There were 218 additional comments out of the 434. So nearly half had additional comments. And what this is showing, we went through all those comments, and anywhere we saw a repeating item, we put it in a spreadsheet, and we put a chicken scratch by it, 1, 2. The biggest one in that, as well as throughout the survey itself, was the Indoor Recreation Community Center. So the Indoor Recreation Community Center was number 1. Folks want to see that. Folks want to see pools.
indoor pools, more sports fields, more youth activities, a potential splash park or pad, and then number 7, trails. So that goes hand in hand with what we learned earlier. We held 3 key person interviews. First, we did in one night for the active and sports groups. We had it right here in this room. First hour, we met with baseball, soccer, lacrosse, cheerleading, all those folks here, elicit their feedback. Right after that, they were done. We met with the passive groups, and the folks that showed up were from the Norwood Resource Center. And it was really great to just hear from those 2 folks. After that meeting, I met with the school administration, both the athletic director and the facilities manager. Briefly go through your parks. Braddock's Trail obviously is a very natural, nice extensive hiking trail system, dog friendly. Part of the programming held here now is the Wildflower Tour. And that was also one people were interested in participating more but didn't know about it. So we got to get the word out more about that. One downfall or something that needs to be improved at Braddock's Trail is the parking. It's a relatively small parking lot, it's gravel, that can be improved. Country Hills Park is very interesting, and I try to limit the parks we put in here. Country Hills is a neighborhood park. It's behind folks' homes, and you don't know it's there until you see somebody and ask them how to get to it. So part of this report is really going to try to figure out the value of this, the value to the township, the value to the folks that live there, how this thing gets maintained. Is it worth maintaining? Is it worth keeping? The nice thing, this does have a baseball field. We did hear that folks need more baseball fields. So taking this offline would be difficult. There's no parking here. There's portage on. So those are things we really need to kind of wade through. Hilltop Park. I was intrigued by Hilltop. I really liked it. I think there's some good potential here. It's another one. It's really secluded neighborhood parks, but there's a pretty big expanse of lawn between the baseball or the basketball court and the baseball field. That could be additional parking. That could be another field, or it could be pickleball. There's a whole lot of opportunity for that park. It's just kind of getting people in there. The parking might be an issue as well. Please correct me if you guys say, oh my gosh, no way, we don't want to do that. This is a good time to say that. Indian Lake Park, I mean, what can we say about that? It's really got it's the township crown jewel. It's used, part of the survey we found it was the one that was used daily the most, and I can understand why. Lions Park, so that's another one where there's great potential. Access to it, there's a nice parking lot, it's relatively small, and then you'd have to cross a culvert if you wanted to actually drive into the park, but there's so much land down there. And we realized the stormwater management is definitely a concern, but there's ways to remediate that and still have usable land there. So it's something we really want to explore.
Jason, since you're
allows
to interrupt, that's always one that's been of interest to some of us, including me. In that when we did it was always seen as a multi-use project when we did the stormwater facility. So we always wanted to come back here and do something. We haven't figured out exactly what is it. It's open lawn, you can use it. It's not. I think the facility only is used on significant storm events. So 99.99% of the time it's available. So this is I don't know, we're going to do some master planning going forward or whatever, but I think it's in a location where there's a lot of homes around it, so this one's of interest. And then there's wooded areas too for trails and whatnot too. There might be some potential here. We've talked about it occasionally.
Sure. It's got charm, actually, too. It's the creek, the stream running next to it, just like I said, the hillside, the homes that sit on top of it, all give that space a nice character.
How many acres is it?
That's a good question. I have it in, I've got the old parks plan, I can pull it out if we want to find out. It's a lot. And then Oak Hollow. Oak Hollow is, if Indian Lakes is your crown jewel, this one's right up there with it. This picture I kept here, I was hoping Dan would be here. The pavilion that's right in the center of the picture, Dan has these pretty neat aspirations of that maybe being an auditorium or an amphitheater. It's situated really nicely the way the lawn slopes to it now. That maybe that pavilion gets converted or changed or somehow, it's a multi-use sort of facility, and it's a great spot for it. Something we could look at with Oak Hollow Park is allowing some of this lawn to be a no-mo. We've seen that a lot in sort of the Allegheny County parks. The South Park, they'll let a big space just go back to nature. They put a sign up to let people know, this is part of an environmental exercise to reduce maintenance and allow more habitat. So this could be a potential for letting some of that happen.
Earlier, excuse me, Jason, just earlier, is Ken Gray still here?
Yes.
I mean, earlier you heard the input about
right.
what that does.
Right.
I mean,
there's a definite balancing tipping point there, and that's why I mentioned the signage. If you can sign it and include it in your programming somehow, there's definitely nature walks, and I know right now there's the wildflower tour. Somebody actually mentioned too, I guess at Hilltop in the comments, that Hilltop also has wildflowers, but nobody knows about it. So if you can sort of train the public and to let them know what's happening there, that this is not this is not a derelict spot. This is not something that we're just saying we don't feel like maintaining it anymore. It's allowing more habitat. It's allowing less maintenance, less mowing. Those are all good things.
okay.
And it's not in the development. It's not.
I get it. It's just like I see the irony there. We're having the exact complaint earlier about the habitat, and maybe if we just post the property on,
right. Put a sign
we'll
up.
say it's we're letting it go back to nature.
You put a sign up in a bird bath, and you're in.
Right.
And then, so at the end of our report, we are going to give recommendations. We're really not to a good spot to do that now, but we can give you quick thoughts of what we've heard and what we think. So we've heard that there's a need for more fields. We've gone through it already. There are multiple opportunities where we can find some more space for fields. There's a desire to have a wider and more extensive range of trails and opportunities for people to be on the trails. There's no question that can happen. Oak Hollow would be a fantastic place to just have a ring trail around the whole park. We also would like to explore a more of a trail network that can connect the parks. And that could be on road, it could be over unused properties, somehow with easements, not sure, but that's something to think about. Let's see, there are programs that are offered that residents are interested in but did not participate. So maybe we need to focus the advertisement on more of the folks that they would like to participate but didn't know about it, or eliminate some of the programs. And then the one comment we just saw over and over, North Huntington doesn't have what the neighbors have. There's a lot of talk about your neighbors, what they have, and what you guys don't have. So what our thought at this point is to maximize what you do have, and what they're asking for, maybe they can be placed in with the facilities you have now. And if those voices still keep being heard, and those numbers are pretty high, folks that want the rec center, the pool, the splash park, then part of our recommendations could possibly be doing a real feasibility study. So that's what we have.
You talked about a feasibility study. I don't know if you were able to read the feasibility study that we did a few years back about the recreation center.
Yeah, we were part of helping prepare that. EPD, worked with, it was before my time. I've been with EPD for about a year and a half. So AJ Schwartz, I mentioned earlier, I did get debriefed by him because I know we've been talking about it for a while, so kind of figured that would come up. He felt that to re-enter a feasibility study, there might be some work that should be done beforehand to get some questions out before you get into that feasibility study about realistic expectations and realistic goals. The feeling was kind of asking for Walt Disney World with that feasibility study, and it just, it wasn't practical. It probably was somewhat doomed from the start because it just wasn't based in reality. So if we do that recommendation, it's meant to be practical. Okay.
Thanks.
Were any of the people that compared us to our neighbors and said we lack things, were there any comments or questions in there by those people that want a pool or a splash park or a rec center or things about how to fund it?
Right.
I mean, yeah, because I noticed earlier, one of the first things you said was that people liked some of the activities that were free.
Right. Right.
And so.
No, they did not.
No, they didn't.
They did not. That would also have to go into the feasibility study.
Right.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you, what sport do you feel needed more fields?
That's a tough one. The two loudest voices, I was a bit surprised, was baseball. I guess they use parks outside of the township at this point for their games. And at this point, football. Football uses the elementary schools and high school. So they felt that they could use more flat fields. The football, soccer, lacrosse, those folks would all use flat fields. So if you can provide more fields for the football team, for the football players or cheerleading, then you're helping out essentially two other groups. Something else that was kind of enlightening, these other park studies we've done, scheduling is always, is a real kind of stickler. Seems like the scheduling here is fairly smooth, and that's real nice. I was surprised. I thought we're used to folks like Dan being the clearinghouse for the schedules, and that's not the case here. The individual sports groups work together to come up with their scheduling. So, in that case, if we can provide some nice flat fields, lights were another thing. If there could be a potential for lights at Ocala,
Ocala has potential for that.
You can, you're going to get another 4 or 5 hours through the summer.
Well, let me ask you also. We all look to find out how to pay for things.
Yep.
Who out there in municipalities and townships actually ask businesses? I mean, PNC Park is not Clemente Park.
Right.
Heinz Field is not.
Right. Pittsburgh.
It's not.
Yeah.
Clemente Field.
Stadium.
They pay for that name.
Right. And I'm sure Cranberry with Grand Park, they've got a nice partnership with Dick's. Definitely potential. There's all kinds of funding sources, grants, and grants and foundations will pay for some of this stuff, and that's all part of what we need to really dive into once we start looking at the real action plans, the real recommendations. Once we do that, we are going to put in our report potential funding sources. So that's all part of the report.
We're still looking at it globally in a sense, and we have so many parks that there's some master planning and more detailed work that needs done.
Right.
So I was curious if you would want to go through the steps over the next few, we're going to have a public meeting next week, but the steps over the next few weeks so they can understand what we're trying to do. This will probably go on certainly into the fall and beyond, but we're going to probably want to capture some low-hanging fruit for a couple of projects. So we don't want to miss 2018, want to catch something in budget, something that just makes sense no matter what. But maybe just explain a little bit about this going forward from today.
Sure. The big tasks here are getting input from folks like you, folks from the public, these sports groups, closing that down, and then really synthesizing that to come up with real, practical, reasonable, incentive-based, meaning getting something done quickly that allows the public to see that stuff is being done. And then if the public sees that the township is invested in this stuff, then they get on board and they get excited, and then there's more support. So our goal is to provide you folks with a handful of realistic, practical projects that will be the phase one of a many-year endeavor. So that's really our charge.
I just had two more follow-up things. So you said at the beginning we had 434 people respond, and you said it was 14%? Or are you going by homes or population? Because if it's population, yeah, it's like 1.5% more. Actual residents responded. I mean, if you're going by homes, it'll be a little bit different, but actual residents responded.
Okay,
1.5%
households.
Yeah, so I don't know if you were trying to use households or not. And then you piqued my interest a little bit. So we had a lacrosse team come up a little while ago and try to get fields. And you talked to the school administrators, and I live pretty close to the school. I drive past all the time, and I see open fields, and a lot of them are lit. And the lady that was here for the lacrosse team mentioned about the school's fee structure was too much for them.
Right.
Was there any conversation with the school district administration of anything of that nature?
No, not really. I believe it's $200 a time slot, whatever that is, an hour or 2 hours. No, but I can reach out to her again. I think I have.
I mean, and maybe it's just my personal opinion that some of our probably school, facilities are probably underutilized, the pool, the gyms and things of that nature, that, maybe we could work with the school district and try to utilize the facilities that the residents are currently paying taxes for.
Right.
So they don't sit vacant.
No, we definitely don't want fields going vacant. It seemed like too, the facilities manager said that the maintenance between the township and the school is fairly amicable. They get along very well. So the sharing of that is definitely potential.
You might be able to answer this, you might not. You said that don't have what our neighbors have.
Yeah.
Were they comparing apples to apples? Were they comparing, I don't know what they actually were comparing as far as what they have, but I know I was out at like Round Hill Park.
Yeah.
My grandson, they had a nice little splash park, but it's a county park.
Right.
County has a lot more money than a township or a borough.
Right.
Are they comparing the amenities in these places that are local municipalities and what they have? Or are they looking at like Round Hill Park or PNC Park or?
They're looking at, Penn Hills. Some are actually looking like upstate there and Cranberry, those kind of communities. At least that's what we feel. Of course, they don't really say that per se. I can give you the responses, and they'll be in the report, and it's all yours to look at.
So they're looking at Allegheny County, upscale, higher tax base areas.
Absolutely, right.
Anybody else have anything? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is further board comment. Do you have anything?
I have something for Andy, please. If you could. I would like to thank Andy Blanco for his help with Brownstown Road. We had some flooding issues along Brownstown Road. Andy's been very, very helpful with it. I'd also like to thank Kim Ward's office and George Dunbar's office for their assistance. day after the meeting, they came to Brownstown Road and cleaned the berm. So hopefully, cut the shoulder, so hopefully it'll help with the water movement issue. So thank you, Andy.
Any other board comments? No? Mr. Sherwood?
First announcement is to mark your calendars for the 2017 summer celebration at Oak Hollow Park on Friday, August 25th, and Saturday, August 26th. Second announcement is that Environmental Planning and Design will host a public input session to review the township's online survey results and gather additional feedback to assist in planning that will shape the future of the township's park system and recreation potential. We look forward to hearing from you. Please join us on Wednesday, August 23rd at 7 p.m. here at the Townhouse.
Thank you. I need one more.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned at 8:01.
Nah, don't cut it up.